Well, hello there. I want to talk to you today about how I chose my new car. Although I haven't got it yet, it's coming in about 3 weeks' time after they fitted all the accessories and when I've come home from sea. So I did the normal soul searching. Do I need a new car? Well, yes, I do need a new car. The new car is getting expensive, and if I do go into retirement into a couple of years' time, I need to start making savings and start making savings now. So I come to the conclusion that I need a new car. So how did I go about choosing it? Well, I went through the normal route of looking at the expensive luxury cars, and I come to the conclusion that I can't afford them either. I looked at the Range Rovers, the Land Rovers, the Porsche Cayenne and all that kind of stuff, and the insurance alone is through the roof, absolutely ridiculous. The maintenance costs, especially on the Land Rover side, the customer satisfaction on a Land Rover is pretty low, and I looked at the Porsches, and they're just out of my league, really are. They're just fantasy cars, I suppose, not really that practical. So I then went onto Auto Trader website and started looking at cars there. So they have a section where you can put in the miles per gallon, you can put in the insurance, you can put in the amount of tax that you want to pay onto a vehicle. So I didn't do all that. I just put in what I wanted at the beginning was an automatic gearbox. I wanted it petrol engine and this, that and the other. And the cars that were coming up were still far too expensive. So I thought, I don't really want to go down the route of electric. But considering that the government is dead set on banning petrol cars in the near future, I thought, well, I've got to do something that will maybe not attract so much attention from the government. So I looked at the electric cars, thinking, well, I've got nowhere to charge the car at home because the car's parked on the other side of the road. There's no way that I could afford to have the driveway, the front garden dug up and turned into a driveway. The car would still be over the pavement anyway, so that's out. Some of my neighbours have done that. They have the whole of their front garden has been paved and they park their cars on it, but they've only got small cars, this small compact, really small cars. And one guy who's just down the road, he actually parks his car sideways, so it does fit across the whole of his front garden, meaning that you have to wiggle around it to get to his front door. But anyway, he's done it. It's up to him what he does on his garden, of course. And my other neighbour, they've got two very, very small cars that they fit onto their front garden. Of course, the car that I had, that would have been too big. It would have been, taking up the whole pavement as well as the front garden. So that was out. So yeah, there's no chance of electric charging, especially as I can't charge it at home. Then when I went down to a showroom and had a look at a few cars, the salesman was trying to convince me to buy a plug-in hybrid car. Well, when the battery goes flat, it's a drag. Yeah, literally. When the battery's empty, you have to. You can treat it like a self-charging hybrid, these plug-in hybrid, but all the time that you're charging it, it's putting an extra drain on your car engine, so it's using up more fuel. The fuel consumption, instead of it being 100 miles to the gallon for these plug-in hybrids, it brings it all the way down to about 18 miles to the gallon, because you're hauling around a huge great battery that's useless. It's empty. And I've heard stories of some of these plug-in hybrids catching fire as well, so I'm not too keen on a plug-in hybrid. I looked at where the charging points were in this area. One of them is 3.5 miles into town in a McDonald's car park of all places, so you're allowed an hour stop in that car park. So anything over that, you're going to get charged a fortune. So that's out of it. And the nearest one the other way is at Hornsey, which is good 12 odd miles away, in a sports centre car park. And there's only 4 in either direction. There's 4 in the McDonald's car park, and then the sports centre. There's 4 there. So in this area, catchment area, there's 8 charging points. I do believe that there's another supermarket the other side of town, Lidl's, Aldi's, whatever it's called, I don't know. I believe they've got 4 chargers. So in the whole of Hull, there's a total of 16, not 16, 12 charging points in the whole of Hull. So yeah, that's not on, is it? Anyway, but as you know, the government had a bloody dogs. Right. Anyway, so as I said, the government had this mandate of 2030. They were going to a blanket ban on all new petrol cars. So that's not on, is it? No. Anyway, so as they realised that electric cars weren't meeting the sales forecast that they predicted, they then extended the 2030 deadline, to cancel petrol cars. They extended that to 2035. The new government's come in and they've rescinded the last government's extension, and they brought it back to 2030 again to end the sale of all petrol cars. And now they've extended the hybrid cars to 2035. So you can still buy an internal combustion engine for your car as long as it's hybrid. So I thought, well, I've got to do something. I've got to make some savings somewhere. So I started looking at self-charging hybrid cars. Yeah, the thought of having a battery in my car absolutely terrifies me. But it's got to be done. It's going to be, the car's going to be insured. There's a warranty on the battery in there that's I think 5 years. So there is some protection there. And as you know me, I'm not a very fast driver anyway. I'm not a fast driver now. I probably was a bit of a boy racer in my day. But the traffic nowadays is so much heavier than it was. When you go back 40 years ago, the traffic was so much lighter than if you saw the footage from the 80s and you compare them now, yeah, it's not the same, is it? It's really not the same. Anyway, so I started looking at hybrid cars. So that's when I went back again to Auto Trader, and I started putting in the stuff that I wanted to put in. I wanted high miles per gallon, I wanted low road tax, and I wanted low insurance rates. My current car, the current value for road tax is £735 a year, and of course if you pay that monthly, that's going to go up a little bit higher as well, because you've got to pay a premium price for paying monthly. I also wanted some cheaper insurance as well. The insurance on my car is something like a 33E, or I keep saying my car, it's not my car anymore, I've sold it. It was 33E, which is really quite expensive. So the car that I've chosen has got a insurance group of 21E. So whatever that means in price, I don't know. I have to work out the price. I can't remember what it was now. I know I was paying just under £300 a year, because I have this app called Drive Score, which monitors your driving. So every time you go out for a drive, it monitors your acceleration, your braking. It even monitors your phone use, sharp cornering, all that kind of stuff. It measures everything, and you get a score out of 1,000. Now I've got somewhere in the region of about 960 odd points out of 1,000. So that then enabled me to get a discount on my car insurance. So that's a good tip. If you want to save some money on your car insurance, have a look at Drive Score, the app that goes on your phone. I do believe it's Apple and Android phones that you can get these things on. Yeah, funny. These London buses, they're electric, aren't they, these days, with self-charging batteries inside. They use this adaptive braking. So anyway, I then went back and looked, going back to Auto Trader. So I looked at the miles per gallon. So I wanted something that was going to give me more than 60 miles per gallon. My old car that I've just sold had a listing of 19 miles to the gallon. Yeah, I know, it's a beast, and it was thirsty. And of course, if I am going to be retired, I can't afford that amount of petrol. So I went for something that's got 16 miles. Sorry, I went for something with 64 miles to the gallon. That's on a on a good day, apparently. So my actual car that I was getting 24 to the gallon compared to the 19 that the book said. So my driving style was quite conservative, I suppose. I would very rarely would I take it over 2,000 RPM. But even so, with the automatic gearbox that it had, it was so smooth. You couldn't tell that it was changing between gears because of the collapsing wheels and expanding wheels and the belt that went. And anyway, it was quite a good engine. And of course, Nissan, they are the biggest manufacturer of gearboxes in the UK. So anyway, I went back to Auto Trader. So I put in, I wanted cheap insurance, I wanted cheap road tax, and I wanted good economy from the petrol engine. As I got an artificial knee on my left knee, I do find it a little bit tiring, a little bit uncomfortable. Not a lot, but a little bit uncomfortable driving a manual car. Now I've driven a few manual cars since I've had my knee operation, and this is hire cars. Some of the cars that I've hired have been absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. So what I've done is I've gone for something automatic. So I've got to go back, recap again, just to get it in my own mind. So I've got low insurance, low road tax, high fuel efficiency, automatic gearbox. I want petrol. I don't want diesel. I want petrol because petrol engines is petrol's cheaper, to be honest. Although diesel, you get more. My wife's 1.6 car that she's got has got a higher miles per gallon than the car that I'm going to get, simply because it's a diesel. And diesels, despite what the government says, are more efficient, I think. Simply because they're two-stroke, so you get a power stroke for every rotation of that cylinder. You're getting one power stroke, whereas in a four-stroke petrol engine, you're getting one power stroke for every 2 revolutions, because it has to clear the fumes from the cylinder as it comes round. It fires, goes round, pushes the exhaust gas out, and then sucks in new fresh air to be compressed. But digressed again. So got the automatic petrol. So I looked at a range of cars. Now these are the mid-range SUVs. Because I take ourselves out camping. We go on camping holidays, and this, that, and the other. And quite often I have to ferry around 4 other people in the car. Myself, Lady Sarah, Sarah's mum and dad, and Sarah's daughter. So there's 5 people in the car. So I want a car that can take 5 people, and I want, when we go on holiday, it's just normally Sarah and I, but we do have a small 10-man tent that we take with us, with all the glamping equipment. So we've got the camp kitchen. We've got a wardrobe. We've got the table. We take a small electric cooker because we have electric hookup. So we've got electric cooker. We have a toaster. We have a coffee machine. We have a kettle. We have an airbed which is electrically pumped up. which is really good. Actually, it's really good. It's quite. It's not one of these low down ones that you have to, get on your knees before you get into bed. This is one that you can actually sit on the edge of the bed and put your socks on comfortably. Anyway, so that's the reason that I wanted an SUV. So I looked at all the SUVs out there, and I come to the conclusion that one particular brand of car suited me down to a T. They had several trim levels, as I suppose you would call it. You went from the most basic to the more advanced section. So I looked at the price and I thought, well, what can I do to make that price better? So I went online, I did a little search. I searched for discounted car prices. Blimey, there's a few out there. There really is a few out there. There's something like What Car Magazine or some car magazine saying that if you buy a car using this code, you can get a £2,000 discount on your car. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. Anyway, so when I went to look at the car of my choice, the salesman said, well, what level of trim do you want? I said, well, if you give me this discount, I'll take this car, which was the ultimate edition. So it's top of the range for that particular car. And so I'm now going to announce the name of the car that I've chosen. This is going to be a Hyundai Tucson hybrid car. It's got a 1.6 litre inline engine, 1.6 straight, with a turbocharger. It's also got a hybrid engine, which means it's got a self-charging hybrid. You can't plug it in. There's several levels of these. Although you can get trim levels, you can also get different battery levels. You can get the plug-in hybrid, you can get the self-charging hybrid, and you can get what they call the mild hybrid, which is also self-charging. Now this means that the small version, the mild hybrid, has got a really tiny battery. It's equivalent of 4 starter batteries that you find in your car. It's about 4 of those. It's 48 volts. The next size up will be the equivalent of 3 times those batteries. So instead of having 4 batteries, you've now got 12 batteries. And of course the plug-in hybrid is mostly electric battery anyway. It's absolutely massive. So I don't want to go down the route of electric. So fully electric would be the plug-in hybrid. Don't want that. I've gone for the mid-range self-charging hybrid. So that's what I'm getting. Automatic. It does 64 to the gallon. The insurance rate on it, like I said, is 21E. The road tax is £260 a year, compared to £730 a year I was paying before. So that's making a good saving, as well as having an extra 40 miles per gallon on the car. But that'll be more likely around town where you're using the battery to its fullest. I would imagine. Now, what it does is as you're braking, it uses regenerative braking to charge the battery. What it means is that on the drivetrain you have an electric motor that drives the rear wheels. I think it's front wheel drive actually. So it drives the front wheels using the electric motor. That will get you up to speed, and then the petrol engine will then take over and then maintain that speed. When you come to brake, the engine stops, and the electric motor starts to act as a generator. So when you take your foot off, again, it has now several steps of regeneration. You've got the really hard stuff, which is like driving with one foot, one pedal operation car. So as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, you start braking, which is a very strange concept, because I'm used to having, when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car coasts to a stop until the engine stalls, unless you put your foot on the clutch, or in the case of an automatic, when you put your foot on the brake. But as the car when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car starts to brake. using the electric motor as a generator to slow you down. Now it can slow you down really rapidly. I suppose if you were in a queue of traffic and you were start stop, you might want that function where you took your foot off the accelerator, you come to a stop. The way I drive, I do leave a big gap between me and the car in front, so that I could, come to a slow stop. Often not stopping completely, because by the time you've got near the car in front, they've started to move away. So you just carry on. You just keep moving at a slow pace while the car in front start stop. So I don't like start stop. I just like to drive. But I'm digressing again. So then the next level of regenerative braking is very mild. So as you take your foot off the accelerator, you slow down, not rapidly, but not slowly either. It's in between rapid and slow. And then there's a third level of regenerative braking, which means that you slow down. You hardly notice that you've got your foot on the brake, but you do notice, on the test drive that I did, you do notice that the car is starting to slow down more than you would have done if you'd just taken the foot off the accelerator. Now that is enough to keep your battery charged. So of course then when you pull away from the line, the cars in front start to move, the electric motor will accelerate you, will give you a boost in acceleration, saving you petrol. Yeah, the Bob the painter came out, and I feel a bit self-conscious talking to myself, so I stopped the recording. Anyway, so getting back to what I said, I've got the plug-in. Sorry, I haven't got the plug-in hybrid. I've got the standard self-charging hybrid. I think that's like I say, I had a lot of soul searching before I come to that conclusion that the self-charging hybrid is possibly the future of motoring. The country or the world is now developing alternative fuel sources to petrol and diesel. They're using methanol, which is a liquid at room temperature, so you can store it safely in a tank like petrol. Hydrogen is not good enough because it's first of all, if it leaks, you've got hydrogen gas that you can ignite more readily than you can ignite methanol or petrol. Also, to keep hydrogen as a liquid, you have to have a very large, heavy-duty tank under extreme pressures, or you have to keep it down at extremely low temperatures to keep it in a liquid state. So hydrogen's out. Any of the other gases, you're talking about some of the fridge gases, the freons that you're using. In particular, ammonia is a fridge gas that you can also burn in an engine, but it's very difficult to ignite. You need to have a secondary source of ignition to get the ammonia to set light to. So anyway, so that's it. That's coming to a conclusion about this car that I've purchased. It's a Hyundai Tucson. It's a 1.6 litre straight line with turbocharger. So that will be, never had a turbocharger, so that will be exciting, having the turbocharger. And it's hybrid, so it's not a self-charging hybrid, which, like I said just now, I do believe that self-charging hybrids are the way forward. The idea of having a battery in my car absolutely terrifies me. Having a battery that size, a lithium polymer battery that size, but at least you're not reliant on it to drive the car. That's the thing. The petrol engine is the thing that does the driving the most when you're on the motorway in particular. Like all of these cars, the plug-in hybrids, the self-charging hybrids, the mild self-charging hybrids as they call it, they all rely on the petrol engine for the motorway journeys. Once you start cruising on the motorway, you're using the petrol engine to keep you up to 70 miles an hour. Yeah, most of you seen what's happening. Yeah, you're going to have speed limiters on your car, so you're going to be sat doing 70 whether you like it or not. which I find is absolutely stupid, because, as Jeremy Clarkson said, nobody has ever died from speed. What does kill you is coming to a sudden stop. That's the bit that does the damage. It's coming to a sudden stop. So this speed limiters, I find, is absolutely stupid. But what the new cars have got these days is they have this collision avoidance system where you can choose. You can either turn off, or you have 3 different levels where you when you get within a certain distance of the car in front, you start to slow down. And of course, you can judge how far it is. You can go to the 3-second rule, which I think is possibly quite the best rule. But the one that used to come out that when we were children was only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. So when the car in front passed an object on the road, you would go through that little rhyme, only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. And if you passed that point on the road within the time frame of saying that little tiny rhyme, you knew that you were too close, so you would then back off. So you were at least 2 seconds behind the car in front, which would give you thinking time and braking time before you ran into the back of it. But these days, you see the lorries less than a car length behind the vehicle in front, and you think, how the hell are you going to stop? Especially if the vehicle in front is a big lorry as well. But it's my life that these guys are endangering. But we see people on when you start slowing down, when you're travelling at 70, you start slowing down because there's a car in front, there's somebody behind you getting really angry. For what? I don't know. There's no time at all. There's no time lost at all. You're still going to arrive at your exit at the same time as you would have done, whether you were, bumper to bumper or a whole car length away, or 2 seconds away from each other. You'd still arrive at the roundabout, at the junction, at the same time. So it just beggars belief, some of the driving styles that people have these days. Anyway, so I've waffled on quite a bit about my new car. Really looking forward to it. Really sad that I've lost my old car. I did love that car. It was one of the best cars I've ever owned, and I should be really upset to see it go. But at the same time, I'm really excited about getting the new car, which I'll have as soon as I come back. Anyway, so that's about it. I've rambled on for far too long, so I'll catch you all on the next one. See ya.